Tugging Los until 10 on the Morning Extra on Xtra 106.3, joined by U.S. Representative Dr. Rich McCormick, representing Georgia's 7th District. Your legislation, it encourages everybody to spend the appropriate funds where they need to, but not spend just to be spending.
That's right. And this is something that was born out of my time in the military. About 30 years ago, I said, just think, this is crazy. Why? And by the way, this is across the bureaucracy spectrum in the United States government. So military, obviously, we spend almost $1 trillion in military spending, and that's just the military. We have a $7 trillion budget. We are drastically overspending every year. We bring in about 5. We spend about 7. Even with the new tariffs increase, that's only about $400 billion. I say only. $400 billion, and we're $3 trillion in debt per year. Really, that's just unacceptable. It's going to hamper our children's future. And so I was just thinking about it, decades ago. I was like, why is it that at the end of the fiscal year, if I don't spend it, not only do I lose it and somebody else spends it, but they're going to give me a smaller budget next year to reward me, or should I say punish me, for doing the right thing. And so this bill is pretty simple and straightforward. And basically, at the end of the fiscal year, whatever you don't spend is left over, right? Instead of giving it back to somebody else to spend and then losing your budget, you're actually going to get 49% of that savings applied towards next year. So you actually get a bigger budget. So if you have a computer or a systems upgrade or something that you need for your office that you can afford this year, you actually have more money next year. Another 49% goes back towards the debt and deficit, which we have a massive problem with, and we've all said we need to be more creative. That's what DOGE was all about. But instead of having somebody else come in and tell you what you can't spend money on, you can actually, the person who's in charge of the department, knows the department best, gets to decide, well, you know what, I don't really need this. I'm not going to spend that. It goes back to the debt and deficit, and then the remaining 2% goes towards bonuses for everybody in the department up to 10% of your salary. So I'm giving you 3 carrots to do the right thing for America, do the right thing for yourself, do the right thing for your department, instead of 2 sticks to do the wrong thing. I think it's going to be brilliant. The Speaker loves it, and I'm looking forward to pushing it forward as soon as possible.
I'm so excited about this idea because it looks to me like you're democratizing the DOGE mission and saying no matter who you are in the government, if you report this waste, it's going to benefit the country and it's going to benefit you. So, Congressman McCormick, I used to serve in the Department of Education, which I hope won't exist for much longer, but that is beside the point. If you are a government worker like me, I was a political appointee, or let's say you're part of the civil service, no matter where you are in the government, you've probably seen some waste. So how are people going to identify it and report it? Like, how does this work in practice?
Well, the nice thing is you don't have to report it. You identify it, because I got to the end of my year, and I'd be like, gosh, I have this. We'll just buy pens, or we'll use copy paper, and I've seen people abuse it. Buy really nice stuff and then just pocket it because nobody will ever miss this. That's not a good thing. And quite frankly, that's where a lot of waste and fraudulent spending goes on. This allows you to basically do the right thing. I reward you. You eventually right-size your budget, and it's just the perfect solution to something that we've had hampering us for decades. Much like the tariffs kind of were interesting. It was a reaction to decades of abuse by other countries. We knew we were out of trade balance. We knew we had a problem. We knew other countries were creating barriers and abusing us with their own tariffs. This is well overdue. I'm really excited about it. The Speaker said, well, it sounds almost too good to be true. And he had me pass it by a bunch of the chairmen. And he said, I don't know why we haven't been doing this before. I'm like, you're right. I don't know either. Let's get it done.
Yeah, anytime you incentivize people to do the right thing, it's always better. I mean, that just seems so obvious and so clear, and it's smart that you're doing that way. What has been the reaction away from, obviously, the folks in the chain of command that you're working with every day see it and value it. What about other Republicans, other congressmen, congresswomen, and then on the other side of the aisle?
So far, everybody's loved the idea. I have had a couple questions, obviously with the military. I don't know what the budget, the bonus process is going to be. We may not be able to do it like CIA, FBI, military, people who don't normally have bonuses in their system built in like that. You can call it a retention bonus, but like I said, we got to be careful how we incentivize. But either way, doing the right thing and adjusting your budget, everybody sees benefits out of that. I think the Democrats will buy off on this too. I mean, unless they really want to pick a fight where it's really hard to defend, right? Because even the Democrats admit we have a budget problem, we have a deficit problem, but they always say, well, we just need to get rid of waste, fraud, abuse. Well, now what we agree to that definition on is what we dispute. But this allows each bureaucracy to actually define what that is. And so who could go against that? I think it's going to put them in a hard spot to go against them. In fact, I think we're going to have over 200 co-sponsors when all dead and said on this, and I'm really excited about it. I hope we have really strong bipartisan support because it's doing the right thing.
200 co-sponsors, that is a ton of people, and I hope to see this get there and beyond because it's no secret there's so much waste in the government. But are there places where you expect to find more waste and more spending cutbacks than others? Are there places that you think are pretty efficient? Are there maybe some departments or executive branch offices where you think, that one probably has a lot of unnecessary spending?
You know, and we do know this, but here's the nice thing. This will kind of self-identify where we've been doing things wrong, and if nothing else, we don't get nickel and dime to death on the leftover stuff. There's going to be certain actors out there say, no, we don't have enough money as it is, and okay, fine. So you have a lean budget, sorry, but this isn't about that. It's not about fairness. This is about doing the right thing. And I can't help it if you have a bloated or a lean budget because, quite frankly, everybody says they need more money. I've never been to a hearing where somebody came in front of me and said, if you guys would just give me less money, it would solve our problem.
That's right, yeah.
It never happens.
Says no one
As a
ever.
matter of fact, I always joke around with the people who come and testify before. I'm like, as they're complaining about their process, I'm like, let me guess, you want more money. And they smile because they know that's what they're going to do is ask for more money. Yeah. This fixes that problem. It makes it an honest discussion. Nobody ever has as much money as they want, but at least this kind of rewards you for doing the right thing. It allows you to actually have a bigger budget for those bigger items that maybe you can't afford this year. It does so many things, and it's thinking outside the box. And that's what we really need to do because what we're doing is stale, not working, and it just leads to more infighting.
Yeah, no question. Dr. Rich McCormick, serving Georgia's 7th District, and Front Office Los out on vacation. Angela Morabito in for him, but he represents me and Front Office Los in the 7th District, so it's always good to have him on. Dr. McCormick, where were you when the Charlie Kirk assassination took place?
You know, I was in the Capitol. I actually didn't know about it. One of my colleagues was upset, and we were walking back from votes, and that person was going to the chapel, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Some people are religious. And then I got a word from my staff, via text, and saw the very graphic video, and, as an ER doc, I had no doubt what the end result of that was going to be. It was obvious to me. I served as emergency medicine in Kandahar, Afghanistan in 2016. I knew it was fatal. I hated it. It just a gut punch. For anybody who loved him, and I had him on thread every day. I was watching him every day. Yeah. Such a great influencer, and that will have a ripple effect in many ways. And I always like to say to people, remember the worst day in history was when Christ was nailed on a cross. Now, I'm not comparing Charlie to Christ, and he wouldn't want that.
No,
but the worst days in history sometimes still have a purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that movement's going to live on, and I do think that you can't snuff it out. I mean, that's been obvious throughout history. When you have a movement that's meaningful and righteous, it just continues to multiply.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Were you able to see or attend the memorial by any chance?
No, we were invited. We had really good. I'm kind of weird about funerals.
Yeah.
I've been to enough of them in
my life.
People are.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I didn't want to be part of not that it's not respectful. It's respectful, but there was going to be up to 400,000 people around that stadium, and I'm going to have VIP sitting. Why? Why do I get VIP sitting? I'm just another dude mourning the loss of a brother, and it just. I didn't want it to be contrived. And by the way, I'm not disparaging anybody who went.
No,
God bless it. That's a lot of trouble to go there. I'm glad he got the due respect. I just kind of, I'm ceremonially, weddings, funerals, graduation.
No, I get it.
Sometimes I just feel like I don't want to detract from the ultimate message, which was to honor somebody who did a spectacular thing, one of the most influential people of our time. God bless him. So, I chose not to go, and I'm very glad they honored him in a special way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What do we do about what we're seeing politically when it comes to political violence? Because we seem to be seeing a whole lot more of it, and that I can tell, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. We've talked about it on this show. Like, I expect that it's going to happen again in the United States of America, which is a horrible thing to expect, and I don't want to expect it, but I do. I just don't know what to do. I don't know how we solve this problem, Dr. McCormick. Do you have any insight? How do we fix it?
Well, there's been anarchists in our society since the beginning of time, and they've started world wars. They've snuffed out royalty, and they snuffed out a guy walking down the street with the wrong T-shirt on for no reason. But I will say this. So when you're walking down the street and you have somebody yelling at you from a street corner to repent, I have yet to see anybody yelling at you on the internet or on your phone or on a street corner that's changed somebody's mind. And anybody who understands relationships understands you'll very rarely win an argument. Everybody thinks they win. If you look at the debate, statistics, like if you're a Republican, you think you won. If you're a Democrat, you think you won. So everybody thinks they won. You don't win arguments. I always tell the youth, if you want real influence, instead of trying to win an argument, win a friend. You guys probably know that I was student body president of Morehouse School of Medicine. It's a school that's primarily female, about 80% black, about 95% liberal, was elected student body president the same year as Obama. Why would a white male conservative be elected? Because I never tried to win an argument. They knew who I was, but I really wanted them to know I love them. And I really want what's best for them. If you want real influence, you want to grow your church, you want to grow your business, you want to grow your political party, make sure people know that you're actually in it not to win an argument, but to actually improve their life. And that's what people want. They want to know you're on their side. And this idea that I'm going to convert you by punching you in the face, I'm going to convince you by calling you an idiot, is ludicrous. It never works. And if we want to grow this party, we need to approach this differently. There's a reason that we had the best elections in Georgia, in my district. And it's not because I got a good resume. I got a great staff. But we approach this from the standpoint of, I want you to know that this is about you, not about me. This isn't about me being right, but what's good for you. And that's what's going to change hearts and minds. I think that epitomizes what Charlie Kirk did. And it's effective. And it changes people's hearts. It's a ministry.
Yeah, that was the Charlie Kirk way, and I think we're living in the Charlie Kirk effect of so many people, especially young people and young men, as Tug has mentioned throughout the show, are embracing that spirit of civil debate. And I want to know what makes you hopeful about what comes next, because we watch this horrible assassination play out and it feels hopeless. We see what happens on Sunday and it feels so hopeful. As someone who is in this fight, what makes you the most hopeful for this country?
History. I know that in my faith, it flourishes when it's persecuted. And that's kind of the way of a pure movement, that I don't have to oppress you or punish you or be violent towards you in order to make my point. Those things go away. Those things are defeated ultimately. People inherently know what's good and evil. There's a real good book called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, and it talks about natural law. There's people out there who try to contrive what's right and wrong. This whole transgenderism. People know in their heart what's right and wrong. If I walked up to you and punched you in the face, you don't have to be taught that's wrong. You know inherently that can't be right. And so what is right and what's good, what's holy, what's true, people know that in their heart, but you have to approach it in the right direction so they can accept it in a way that's not demeaning or belittling. It's going to survive. This movement's going to carry on, and especially, like I said, we got to start thinking outside the box, not just being right, but being righteous, not just trying to convince somebody they're wrong, but convince somebody you love them. I mean, like you said, that's universally, it works, guys. It works.
It does.
Go back to and by the way, stop trying to be more Republican than somebody else. Stop trying to be more religious than somebody else. If you're thinking that way, you're missing the point. And not one person gets to define our party or our church. If it did, it's a cult. We're not a cult. We don't all have to agree on everything. Stop demonizing each other when you disagree. That's a bad habit that a lot of Republicans do. You're not more Republican than me. I happen to be, maybe I'm more conservative than you, but it's okay. If I say you're not good enough to be in my church, what have I done in my movement?
Yeah, nothing. Dr. Rich McCormick, representing Georgia's 7th District. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for the Incentivizing Savings Act, hoping that that'll move right along, and I know you'll come back and keep us posted on the progress.
Always. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Semper Fi.
Yes, sir. God bless you.